There's two other parts of the stroke, obviously. There's the rest of the follow-through, and there's taking the racket back. The rest of the follow-through, we'll start with that. The rest of the follow-through is that if you watch a pro hit the ball and you go in slow motion, or if you look at a frame at a time, you'll see that when they take the racket back and start forward swinging, their racket handle is at 90 degrees to their forearm. That's called lag, racket lag. It's the racket face is lagging the hand, 90 degrees. So when you take it back and throw the racket back, and you throw your hand forward to get the racket going, that stretches the muscles and causes the racket to go to a 90-degree angle. But once the racket then starts going and is coming the same speed as the hand is going forward, you don't have that inertia pulling it back anymore. Now it's coming along for the ride, and those muscles that have stretched now shorten and pull the racket ahead faster than the hand is moving. And so the racket handle ends up being at a 45-degree angle. I don't know how to do this. Let's see, like that. See, so there's the racket handle like this, 45-degree angle. So swing into contact, 45-degree angle. And so if you look at what happens if I simply keep my hand from moving and then rotate the wrist, notice what happens is the racket tips forward 45 degrees, basically the same as the angle between the forearm and the racket handle. If I continue to go past here and then go all the way around like this, the racket then is vertical again, and as it tips all the way over. So basically, we're tipping the racket up, tips forward, and then over. So that's the follow-through. If you look carefully, you'll see that make contact here around waist height, say. You'll notice that the racket and the hand are moving upwards rapidly, and so they continue to move up, and so where the racket finishes is about head height, and the hand finishes about head height. So it's not symmetric. It's not that you make contact here, and you tip it up and over, and you end up waist height over here. It's swinging up, so that carries it up, and you follow through and finish up here. Now, if you just the ball softly, if you're hitting slow, that's where the follow-through will end. Hit the ball hard, then the swing is going to cause the racket to be moving so rapidly here that it's going to pull your shoulders around and the racket's going to turn around. So normally when you make contact, you stop your shoulders moving at contact and they're facing the net and you tip it up and over. But once it gets here, this pulls hard, and then you see that the shoulders then start turning again. They stop, they turn 90 degrees into contact, and they stop here throughout this windshield wiper swing, and then they rotate again because the shoulders get pulled around by the racket. You notice I mentioned windshield wiper swing. Well, you can see why it's got its name. Looks kind of like a windshield wiper. It's not identical because it's not symmetric, and even though it's tipping forward here, it's not tipping forward here, and it's not tipping forward here like it would on a windshield. But essentially, it's roughly looking like a windshield wiper. So windshield wiper is sort of like probably the best innovation in the tennis forehand and in the one-handed backhand ever. That's, for me, I think that's the most important thing. So you want to make sure that you do that and you finish like this. You might say, well, I see the pros finish around here all the time. And so what they'll do is they'll go like make ball contact and then swing up like this here, and they never make it out to here and then go over. They're just cutting to the chase. They're cutting the corner. So here's a corner around. They're cutting the corner. And they say, why can't I do that? I say, well, you want to be able to know for sure whether or not you made contact with the racket pointing the right direction. If you finish over here the windshield wiper and it's pointing that direction, you know for a fact that this was pointed in the right direction here. If, on the other hand, you finish over here, what's to say that when you made contact, the racket wasn't faced over this direction? You can't say. So you always want to, even if you swing hard, you always want to do this, and then if you swing hard, that. Always.